Alrighty, guys, the Celtics take on the Hornets, 1 o'clock Eastern tip-off on Monday, January 16th, 2023. Happy MLK Day. Boston's -8, totals 232.5. And if you want to see all of my personal bets, games that I personally have my own action on, you're going to want to become a board member on my website. My board member package gives you access to every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. You're looking at just around $1.66 a day. If you sign up for that package, that's the way the math works out. And I'll tell you what, at an average of 4 to 6 plays I post there a day, you're looking at just pennies on the dollar for each play I give out during that span. And once again, guys, my site is patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, the Red Hot Celtics are on a 6-game winning streak, and they're winning nearly 70% of their road games. When it comes to offensive production, Boston is averaging nearly 119 points a night. Jason Tatum's the team's leading scorer with over 30.5 points a game. Meanwhile, Malcolm Brogdon's drilling over 45% of his three-pointers. Now, they're facing a Charlotte team who lost 8 out of their last 10, and they currently have the worst record in the Eastern Conference. And no real surprise here, guys. Charlotte's currently dead last in shooting from the field at home. They currently have the lowest home three-point percentage in the league as well. Now, injury-wise, Hayward's questionable. Oubre is out. Meanwhile, for Boston, White is questionable. Brown is out for them. When it comes to the total, Boston's 16-6 to the under in their travels. Meanwhile, Charlotte has gone 70% to the under in the Spectrum Center. I'm going to lean toward Boston -8, under 232.5. Next game, Pacers-Bucks, 2:30 p.m. East. Milwaukee's -10.5, totals 229. And even though this is a big number, the Bucks covered in 6 out of their last 9. They're also covering in nearly 70% of their home games. Currently a 16-5 straight-up record at the Fiserv Forum. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he scores a team-high 31 points a night. He's also second in the league in boards. Meanwhile, Bobby Portis, he's averaging double-digit rebounds a night along with 14 points a game. They're facing a Pacer team who lost their last 3 straight. And they're still going to work without their leading scorer, Tyrese Halliburton. They're also one of the worst rebounding teams in the East. These guys are currently in the bottom 10 in the NBA in offensive boards, bottom 3 in defensive boards on the road. Now, injury-wise, Turner and Batazzi are questionable. Tice, Halliburton, and Brown are out. Meanwhile, for Milwaukee on the other side, Ibaka, Middleton, and Ingles are out for them. When it comes to the total, Milwaukee's gone 14-7 to the over in their own building. Meanwhile, Indiana went 70% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee -10.5, over 229. Next ball game, it is going to be Warriors at the Wizards, 3 o'clock Eastern start time. Golden State's the 3-point favorite, totals 237. And even though they are favored by a bucket on the road here, the Warriors have lost 4 out of their last 5 ball games, and they're tied with Houston for the fewest road wins in the NBA. Out of 21 contests away from the Bay, Golden State got the W only 4 times. And no real surprise here, guys. The Warriors are giving up a league-worst 123 points a night on the road. Now, they're facing a Wizards team who covered in 6 out of their last 10, despite their injuries. And I'll tell you what, as bad as they've been in certain spots this year, the Wizards do still have a winning record in the Capital One Arena. Now, Kristaps Porzingis, he is currently doing a lot of good stuff. He's scoring over 21 points a night, and he grabs nearly 9 rebounds. Meanwhile, teammate Kyle Kuzma, he scores 21 points a game himself. When it comes to defensive play, the Wizards have one of the lower defensive field goal percentages in the Eastern Conference. Now, injury-wise, Beal, Morris, Carey, and Davis are questionable. Meanwhile, for Golden State, Iguodala and Thompson are questionable. Green, Wiseman, and Kuminga are out. When it comes to the total in this one, the Warriors are 17-4 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, the Wizards are 60% to the over in their own arena. I'm going to lean toward Washington +3, over 237. Next contest, it is going to be Pelicans at the Cavaliers, and that'll be a 3:30 Eastern start time. Cleveland's -6, totals 221.5. Now, the Cavaliers are playing some of the best defense in the NBA right now. They're allowing fewer points a game than any other team in the association. They're also grabbing more defensive boards than any other team in the league right now, except for one. Jared Allen. He is grabbing a lot of rebounds a game, doing a great job. He's grabbing just about a double-digit rebounds a night. Allen's also scoring 13 points a game as well. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell, what can I say? This guy scores a lot of points. He's averaging a team-high 28 points a game himself. Now, they're facing a Pelicans team on the other side who's struggled defensively on the road. They're allowing nearly 118 points a night away from New Orleans. And no real surprise here, guys. These guys are allowing more fourth-quarter points than most clubs in the league. Now, injury-wise, Ingram, Zion, and Liddell are still out. Jones is questionable. Meanwhile, for Cleveland on the other side, Windler and Wade are still out for them. When it comes to the total, the Cavs have gone 6-2 to the under in their last 8 home games against a Western Conference opponent. Meanwhile, the Pelicans are 7-2 to the over in their last 9 against a member of the Eastern Conference themselves. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland, -6, over 221.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Raptors at the Knicks, and that'll be a 3 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The New York Knicks are -3, totals 219. And similar to Cleveland, well, the Knicks have been playing some super tough defense this year. They currently have the lowest defensive three-point percentage in the entire NBA, doing a great job guarding the three-pointer. And, of course, they're also in the top 3 in guarding the field goal as well. Now, more recently as a team, the red-hot Knicks, they got the W in 7 out of their last 8. Julius Randle averages 24.5 points a game, along with double-digit rebounds. Randle's actually 7th in the NBA in boards. Meanwhile, Jalen Brunson's drilling 40% of his three-pointers. He's also averaging 22 points a game. Now, they're facing a Toronto team who has the fewest road wins in the entire Eastern Conference. Out of 18 contests on the road this year, Toronto got the W just 5 times. When it comes to shooting the basketball, the Raptors have the lowest offensive three-point percentage on the road than any other team except for one. Now, injury-wise, Freddie VanVleet, he's questionable with back problems. Keep an eye on his status here today. When it comes to the total, Toronto saw unders against the likes of Atlanta, Portland, and Milwaukee. Meanwhile, 5 out of New York's last 8 did stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Knicks, -3, under 219. Next ball game, it is going to be Heat at the Hawks, 3:30 p.m. East. Atlanta's the 1-point favorite, totals 224. And even though they are the slight favorite, the Hawks really don't play Miami all that well. They lost 8 out of their last 10 meetings with the Heat, and they were held to just 101 points a game during that time frame. As far as this year's concerned, the Hawks are grabbing fewer defensive boards at home than any other franchise in the NBA. Now, they're facing a Miami team on the other side who's played some pretty tough defense this year themselves. They allow just 108 points a night, and they're also in the top 10 in defensive boards. Bam Adebayo grabs double-digit rebounds a night. He's also scoring 21 points a game. Now, Jimmy Butler, he averages over 21.5 points a night himself. When it comes to the injury report, Lowry, Robinson, Jovic, and your 7 are out. Meanwhile, for the Hawks, Capella's still out for them. Bogey is questionable. When it comes to the total, Atlanta went 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Miami saw 7 out of their last 10 stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Miami +1, under 224. Next contest, it is going to be Jazz at the T-Wolves, 4 o'clock Eastern start time. Minnesota's the 2-point favorite, totals 236. Despite their injuries, the T-Wolves continue to roll. They won 6 out of their last 7, and they've actually been real tough guarding the field goal. These guys have a lower defensive field goal percentage than most clubs in the West. When it comes to offensive production, D'Angelo Russell averages 17 points a game along with 6 assists. Meanwhile, Jaden McDaniels is averaging nearly 40, he's making nearly 40% of his shots from beyond the arc. Now, they're facing a Utah team who's banged up right now themselves. Markkanen and Sexton and Rudy Gay, they're all questionable. Kelly Olynyk is still out. Meanwhile, as a team, the Jazz lost 7 out of their last 10. They're actually winning only 33% of their contests on the road. Now, injury-wise, once again, Markkanen, Sexton, and Gay, they're questionable. Olynyk, still inactive. Meanwhile, for Minnesota on the other side, Gobert, Prince, and Edwards are questionable. McLaughlin and Towns are still out. When it comes to the total in this one, Minnesota went 60% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Jazz saw 7 out of their last 10 get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Minnesota -2 over 236. Next matchup, it is going to be Suns at the Grizzlies, 6 o'clock Eastern start time. Memphis is -10, totals 226. Now, the red-hot Grizzlies won their last 9 straight, and they've certainly been, they've been nearly impossible to beat in Memphis. These guys are 18-3 this year in the FedEx Forum, and they're allowing just 108 points a game there. Now, in addition to that, the Grizzlies also have the lowest defensive field goal percentage at home in the NBA. When it comes to offensive production, Desmond Bane's second on the team in scoring. He's also knocking down 41% of his 3 balls. Now, teammate Dylan Brooks, he scores 16 a night along with 3.5 boards himself. They're facing a Phoenix squad who lost 8 out of their last 9, and they certainly have an awful time getting the W on the road. Out of 23 contests away from the desert, Phoenix got the W just 7 times. And no real surprise here, guys. They're averaging fewer points a game on the road than most clubs in the West. Now, injury-wise, Paul, Crowder, Booker, Payne, and Johnson are still out. Shamet is questionable. Meanwhile, for Memphis on the other side, Green, Morant, and Concher, they are listed as questionable for them. Now, when it comes to the total on this one, the Grizzlies are 63% to the under against Western Conference opponents. Meanwhile, Phoenix saw unders in 6 out of their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Memphis -10, under 226. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It is going to be Rockets at the Lakers, 10:30 Eastern start time. LA is the 6-point favorite. Total's 234.5. Now, the Lakers have done a real nice job covering the point spread recently. They're 8-2 against the spread in their last 10, and they've certainly had Houston's number in recent meetings. Out of their last 10 head-to-head contests with each other, the Lakers got the W 9 times. And as far as this year's concerned, the Lakers are still in the top 10 in the NBA in home scoring. Now, LeBron James, he scores nearly 30 points a night along with 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Meanwhile, Russell Westbrook's getting 15.5 points a night himself. They're facing a Houston team who has the worst record in the league right now, and they rank dead last in shooting from the field. Now, injury-wise, Porter, Matthews, Tate, and Green, they're all listed as questionable. Meanwhile, for the Lakers, AD, Lonnie, and Reeves are still out. Pat Bev is also questionable as well. When it comes to the total, the Lakers saw overs against the likes of Sacramento, Atlanta, and Orlando. Meanwhile, Houston saw 4 out of their last 5 get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Lakers -6 over 234.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. I like Boston -8 under 232.5. Milwaukee -10.5 over 229. Give me Washington +3 over 237. And if you want to see all of my personal plays, all of my personal action, you're going to want to sign up for my board member package on my website. It gives you full access to every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. The math actually works out to be just $1.66 per day. Give me Cleveland -6 over 221.5. New York Knicks -3 under 219. Miami +1 under 224. Minnesota -2 over 236. Memphis -10 under 226. With my next and final free pick, I'm going to lean toward the Lakers -6 over 234.5.